Thank you for joining us tonight for our third Wednesday Museum After Hours presentation. Our program tonight is on the history of the Fredonia swimming pool. Good evening, I'm Leanne Giffens, volunteer here at the museum, and I thank you for joining us. So let's get going. Since the beginning of time, people have searched for ways to cool off from the heat of the summer and have found relief in the refreshing waters of ponds, rivers, lakes, and the ocean. Locally, many will personally recall or will have heard stories of good times held at Dunn's Station, the Mill Dam, Dugan's Ford, Mellon's Ford, the Gumbo Pits north of town, Delaware Springs Healing Waters, many a backyard oasis, and other ideal locations throughout the county. My presentation tonight will focus on the history of the swimming pool in Fredonia. So to get us started, let's take a look at a map and figure out where we are. So just to orient us, up is north. This is the Goldust Hotel. This location right here is the future location of the present museum. Here's the alley. And then we have lots that were known at the time as the Root Corner. And here we have the corner of 8th and Madison. This location is the location of the current Methodist Church. So we'll be talking about this corner right here. And before I go any farther with that, I would like to give credit to Byron Schroeder for his research and contributing much of the information about this presentation. So, the birth of Fredonia's swimming pool. The Root Corner, as it had been known for decades, had been a half-block set of 3 lots on the west side of 8th and north of Madison. A house had been built there in 1871. Major Edward E. Root bought it in 1880. And I have a photo of Major Root. He came to Wilson County in 1868 and settled with his wife near Oxbow Bend, south of Fredonia. After 8 children were born, 5 died in infancy, the couple became estranged, and Major Roots moved into town and served as mayor at about the same time. The couple never reunited. Mrs. Root eventually moved to St. Louis to live with her daughter. When Mr. Root died in 1916, his obituary referred to him as, quote, a human landmark. And I do have, he is buried in the Fredonia Cemetery, and that is his headstone. Interestingly, just a few years before coming to Wilson County, Major Root was a witness to the hangings of Mrs. Surratt and her accomplices for their role in the assassination of President Lincoln. Well, in 1919, Charles Singleton bought the property with plans to build a Dodge dealership and station. The house was to be moved to the east part of town and remodeled. The Fredonia Daily Herald of April 19, 1920 announced the sale of the lots from Mr. Singleton to Max Kennedy, who had plans to build a printing plant there. Well, we know that he ended up building elsewhere downtown, on the north side of the square, actually. On June 17, 1921, the Wilson County Citizen reported that the Brotherhood class of the United Methodist Church developed a plan to put in a swimming pool in Fredonia. The original plan was to put the pool east of the church, with the brick garage behind the church manse next door being remodeled into showers and changing rooms. That plan was soon discarded as the Fredonia Daily Herald reported in their June 29, 1921 issue that the church bought the northwest corner of 8th and Madison, known as the Root Corner. They had even planned to eventually add a large gymnasium and tennis courts, although we know that never happened. So now we come to this structure. The Wilson County Citizen, April 4, 1922, reported that the pool had been completed for some months and that all that remained to be built was the bathhouse at the east end of the pool. On June 6, 1922, they said they hoped to open the pool in 2 weeks. The Fredonia Daily Herald reported on June 22, 1922, that the pool had opened and hoped for the bathhouse to be completed within the next 2 weeks. The Fredonia Daily Herald, January 16, 1923, reported the Sinclair Refining Company was looking at the site south of the Fredonia Pool, owned by the Methodist Church, for a filling station. The empty lots had been used as a playground and for Chautauqua entertainment. On June 20, 1923, the Fredonia Daily Herald reported the opening of the pool the next day, with the building and pool being thoroughly cleaned to be ready. Even before the pool opened, the local Kiwanis Club had a meeting encouraging the city to have an election to purchase and take over the operation of the pool. The church seemed not to be in opposition to the proposal due to indebtedness from the project. Fredonia eventually bought the pool on August 2, 1927. And here's another picture of the pool. You will see in the background, just across the alley, and that structure, this structure is still there. Location of the former fire station. I don't know what's going on in the picture with all those kids lined up on the edge, but looks like fun. Some residents of a certain age may recall the older woman who took the money when you went to the pool. The fee in the early 1950s was 10 cents and later was raised to 15 to 20 cents. The lady at the entrance was Ethel Sias, a widow. She owned the land just south of the present high school that the school owns now, and today no buildings are on that portion of the property. So from the ag building, you go south, there's a house there on the school property, but it's the next property in between the two houses that are located on that side of the road. Well, the pool was open 1 to 5 p.m. and 7 to 9 p.m. And so twice a day, Ethel walked from her house to the pool at the current location of ABC Park. And we do have a photo of her. This is an undated photo, and I'm not sure of what stage in life this is. My husband remembered that lady, but this picture was not part of what she looked like at that period of time. But I do know that this is Ethel Sias, the lady that for quite some time took the money. So local resident Byron Githens recalls that the water was changed on Wednesdays and Saturdays. There were no filters, so chlorine was added daily. By the third day, it was pretty hard on your eyes, he said. When they drained the water at night, they ran it out to the west in the alley. The next day, it wouldn't be quite full by opening time at 1 p.m. And it would be cold. Byron recalls that the rules included no running and no jumping off the lifeguard tower. Being the ornery young person that he was frequently kicked out of the pool for diving off the lifeguard stand when they went to get chlorine for the water. And he'd be right back the next day. Some of the lifeguards that Byron recalls are Kay Epley, Sarah Beal, Marcia Opperman, Betty Holland, and he thought there was another one. He just had a little difficulty remembering that name. So maybe somebody watching can comment and see who else the lifeguards might have been. Well, just to flesh out Ethel's story a bit, she was born in 1889 and lived to be 91 years of age. She had 6 living children with her husband, Roy C. Sias. Roy completed the courses at the Fredonia Business College, which we know was located on the north side of the square, for about 30 years, and then he was employed by the Kennedy Printing Company. He died unexpectedly at age 40 in 1930, when his youngest son, Richard, was only 3 years old. So, Ethel lived 40 years as a widow, raising 6 children. Richard Sias lived to the age of 94, dying in 2022. He was a very successful oilman, philanthropist, vintner, and music lover. Through his generous contributions of time, money, and leadership, he helped to sustain and improve the status of the fine arts and education in Oklahoma and Kansas. Well, on July 18, 1961, to continue the story, residents went to the polls to vote on a special election to decide on the construction of a new swimming pool, cost not to exceed $100,000. The bond election passed, and the new swimming pool was built by the following summer. So now we have this swimming pool, which was built, of course, located just east of what was then the Kansas National Guard Armory, a pool located at 1216 Robinson. And many of you have cooled off in this spot. About 60 years later, on April 2, 2013, residents went to the polls to vote on a special election to decide on a 1% citywide sales tax to be used to finance capital improvement projects, including but not limited to improvements to the municipal swimming pool. The bond election passed, and the new swimming pool was built by the following summer. So here we see the old pool being demolished, getting ready for the new pool in 2014. During that summer of 2013, when the new pool was being built, many Fredonia residents enjoyed the new splash pad in Neodesha. Well, the new pool opened May 23, 2014, with a dedication ceremony and free swimming. And now it's been 10 years since this new pool began providing just the right spot to learn how to swim, exercise, cool off, and relax from the pressures of life. Doesn't that water look nice and refreshing? Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next month when our topic will have something to do with the many country schools that used to be located in Wilson County. Good night.